right, so Quentin Tarantino walking away from Star Trek kind of surprised me. I don't know what to think of it, but at the same time, maybe he's transitioning to something else he wants to do for his final film.
Look, he's been talking about wanting to do this film for such a long time, and it's always been in development. End quote. Like he's just been pitching this idea for so long, and I think he's trying to see what the audience and like what the general public would think of it. I don't think it's ever been like a serious consideration by any studio to have like an R-rated Star Trek film. I mean,
I'm down for it.
I mean, but I don't think the general public is. I mean, that's so different from any type of Star Trek production that's been out up until now. And people are already like kind of on edge about the J.J. Abrams reboot and how much action that had in it. So for him to like skyrocket all the way over to Quentin Tarantino level, I don't think he would have been a good fit for it anyways. So I'm not disappointed in this at all.
No, I agree with you that the choice of him as a director and his style is not what Trekkie fans would want, but it'd still be something interesting to see, that kind of crossover. Mm-hmm. But is there a franchise that you think Quentin Tarantino should jump into?
Well, okay, so in kind of thinking about this, if you want somebody like him that's good with like a strong Western with some twists and turns, I don't know why, but like the first thing that came to mind for me was maybe doing a remake of Jonah Hex.
Oh,
that comic book character. I mean, like he's been, obviously there was that one film adaptation of it that wasn't super great at all.
What's it called?
Jonah Hex. And that character's also been in the Arrowverse and Legends of Tomorrow and now the big crossover they're doing.
So you want to do superhero?
Well, if he's wanting to do like the big budget franchise type of film, I think something that already kind of plays to his strengths like that, Jonah Hex would probably be a good fit because it's already grittier, it's already darker, it's a Western, it's set in like a weird alternate reality. Mm-hmm. So I think of all the big budget projects, that would be probably the closest thing that he could get to.
I think you're on the right track, but you're not there.
Oh, well, tell me where I should be, Chris.
I'm going to tell you where you should be. You said a franchise that's out in the West.
Uh-oh.
And the Western.
Don't say it.
Alternate universe. But not alternate universe.
Are you going to say Wild Wild West?
Wild Wild West is correct.
I can't believe I guessed that.
Yes. Wild Wild West with Will Smith. Put him in there. Put everyone in there. I want it. Make DMX in there. Put
You're losing momentum, Chris.
I am losing momentum. You have so many options of characters you could put into there. It'll be fantastic.
So just really lean into the ridiculousness of it all?
Yeah, exactly. It'll be our version of Kingsman, but Quentin Tarantino.
Oh my!
Don't you want to see Brad Pitt in a Quentin Tarantino film?
I don't think I knew how much I wanted that until now.
We've already seen him. We've already seen him in a few films. But I'm saying, put Quentin Tarantino, Brad Pitt, Will Smith, Wild Wild West. Make it happen. You that doesn't excite you?
No, I'm telling you that it does.
Oh,
I had no idea that I wanted that, and now I do.
Yeah, and make Angelina Jolie the spider. Just welcome to the Sewn Up Podcast. All right, this is where we talk about movies, shows, games, and whatever the heck we want. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and YouTube. I am joined by my good friend John, and I'm Chris, and we are your co-hosts for the day. John, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. That sounded like you were getting real close to a weird radio voice just then.
Whoa, that's just one of the things here on broadcast radio. I'll stop.
Chris, this is a conversation. This isn't radio.
I've been watching a lot of the Dan Le Batard Show, which is a sports radio podcast kind of thing. And it's so funny. And that's where I'm just getting the vibe because they have ads that they talk about. And the guy's name is Stugatz. He laughs at everything. His laugh is infectious, but he also does the ad reads for things like, whoa, you're looking at a mattress, Casper mattress, places you can sleep on. So that's kind of where I'm getting this from. But I'll stop, make it more conversational.
Back on track.
Yeah, now you're doing it. So we're going to be doing a look back on 2019 for our stories and looking forward to the future in 2020. So, John, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So just kind of thinking about the movies that I've seen this year, some good, some not so good, some even horrible. I just kind of wanted to talk about what the highlights were to us. It doesn't have to be necessarily the highest like grossing film, highest rated film, just what we liked. Kind of like some of our top films for the year, and then conversely, some of the worst films of the year in our opinion.
Unfortunately for me, I don't watch a lot of trash films.
Gonna have to kind of reach here.
Yeah, well, I mean, lucky for no one really in the audience really knows. I live like 50 minutes away from a movie theater. That's going to change in 2020, but I'll be trying to see a lot more movies, and maybe I could see those garbage films like X-Men: Dark Phoenix.
Oh God,
Glad I didn't see it.
So the first movie I've got on my list here for some of my top movies, we're going to do top three, bottom three, things we're looking forward to in 2020.
Okay, what do you have on your list for top three?
So top three, I'm obviously a big comic book nerd. So one of my top movies, Avengers Endgame. I definitely think it just tied together the whole MCU in a nice, neat bow. There were some things I loved about it. Obviously, it's not perfect, but I thought it was a really enjoyable film, and that the Russo brothers did the best that they could have with it, and it was probably the best way to end that phase of that initial three phases of the MCU that they could have. So I was super happy with that. I think it did a lot of justice for comic book nerds in general. Obviously, everyone saw it because it's, I believe, it is the highest grossing film of all time now. Surpassed Titanic.
Yeah, they had to release it to beat Titanic.
They did, but they did it.
They got it done.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, screw Leo.
Oh my God. So that's definitely on my top. My next one is Joker. I think it took the comic book genre as a whole and kind of flipped it on its head in a lot of ways, and gave us this new perspective on what a comic book movie could be. It gave us a more gritty, Nolan-esque look at the Joker, and I think that it's setting up a lot of potential great content in the future. And I hope that they don't just take it and morph it into what it shouldn't be, and try and force that type of movie on other characters. Obviously, with the Penguin movie coming out, that's going to be kind of interesting. Potentially Riddler, Catwoman, a lot of the Batman rogues. But it makes me curious to see what they can do with movies now, and not just this MCU cookie cutter kind of film, but really broaden the horizons of what that genre can be.
I'm totally fine with cookie cutter. But we have discussed this before, how DC has the opportunity to break out and do their own thing and be different. And I think we're getting that now in a way that it's not poorly executed by Zack Snyder.
Yes.
So we'll see what comes next. I think you're right to be excited.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential with DC movies now, and I think they know where they can go. So I hope that they explore what the audience wants and not what the studio wants necessarily. But my last one on my top three, I'm a sucker for big monster fighting movies. The first Pacific Rim really got me good.
I have no idea how this is in your top three.
Look, okay, it's not the best movie of the year.
He's going nuclear.
It's not going to be hardly on anybody else's top rated movies or whatever, but it was just a fun movie. It's Godzilla King of Monsters. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proudly saying it's one of my top movies of the year.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for those big monster fighting movies. I thought what they did with Rodan, what they did with Rodan was awesome, and how he's basically this fire demon, and the way that they portrayed these monsters to be, or like from these Toho people in suits fighting type of monsters that you saw in like Power Rangers, and that's how they were in previous Godzilla movies, to take that and then to morph them into this dark, gritty, sort of realistic take on these monsters, I thought was really entertaining and still grounded enough to not feel like I was watching a cartoon, and to also set up this Godzilla versus King Kong fight in the future in a real way, or in an authentic way at least. I thought was really well done, and like I said, I'm just a sucker for watching monsters punch each other in the face, And Ghidorah was awesome. I thought Mothra was really well done. There were so many things that could have been super dumb and cheesy about this movie that I think they executed well enough to warrant pursuing a franchise. I'm not going to say that everything was done 100% great, but it was done well enough, and I think it was entertaining. And I'll sit back and enjoy my popcorn movies all day long. It was good for me, and you're giving me this face, and I hate it.
You have been hypnotized by Mothra.
Well,
I'll give you this. Was it a good movie? Was it like an entertaining movie? Absolutely. I think so. But of the movies I saw, I was just like, of the movies I know you've seen, I just don't understand how it's in your top 3.
Look, I want to turn my brain off every once in a while. There's so much stuff going on in the world right now.
So this is your Fast and the Furious, basically.
It's my escapism movie. Mothra was my Vin Diesel, is what I'll say. I'll put it that way.
And so The Rock is Godzilla then?
Well, yeah.
Wow, what a slap in the face to Vin Diesel.
Man, did you see what Mothra did?
Did you see Hobbs and Shaw?
Yeah.
We saw it together.
We did.
You're putting this about... I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, that's your top 3.
Let me have this, Chris.
I will let you. You can make fun of my top 3. You want to hear it?
I do want to hear it.
All right. Ford versus Ferrari. Fantastic. I know this came out a few weeks ago for me, and it's fresh in my mind, but it has my favorite car of all time, the Ford GT40. It has incredible acting from Matt Damon and Christian Bale. Everything he gets, he kills it.
He really commits as an actor.
And he was fantastic. He was amazing. He's the shining spot in this movie, and the way his performance is portrayed with his relations with Matt Damon it's incredible. It's most of the time we see Matt Damon as kind of the person who's not the father or the person on top. He's not really the management guy in most of the movies, like what we see with Clooney in Ocean's 11, 12, 13. He, that was mostly reserved to George Clooney and Brad Pitt. And I kind of see the roles reversed here, where if you take that type of movie where Matt Damon is kind of the one calling the shots, and when he starts working for Ford in this movie, he has to know how to work with someone who doesn't understand his philosophy. So he is an amazing... It was his time to shine, and I'm glad I got to see Matt Damon do that. But I would give Christian Bale a much bigger props on this performance that he had. So Ford vs Ferrari, exciting, great portrayal of the racing, the Le Mans, yeah, and the Shelby Cobra is also in this movie, which was cool to see. So it is just great sound design, great acting overall. It's a plot that is already out there. It's based on a true story. So that was no surprise. I knew what the end result was going to be, but still had a lot of fun and still on the edge of my seat in this movie.
Nice.
Next one, Avengers Endgame.
Duh.
As Billie Eilish would say. Duh. But yeah, how can you not have Avengers in this? In my top 3. Also, I like comic book movies. I never read comic books growing up, but I thought superheroes were really cool. So that's why this makes it into my top 3. Just the culmination of all the properties. And I rewatched it the other night. Still great. Still the Mjolnir scene, fantastic. And the pacing of the movie, it never felt like, wow, this movie is 3.5 hours. I never felt it. It felt like 2.5 hours. It wasn't like I was sitting through Lord of the Rings wanting to blow my brains out.
Yeah, just one thing, one after another.
Yeah, the pacing was pretty good. And then my third top 3 movie.
Wow, what's going on with you there?
I know, right? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
We were just talking about Quentin Tarantino. That's why I was like taking a pause on it.
Oh, fair enough.
So great. I like history, and I like how Quentin Tarantino just slightly adjusts it. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I was watching I was watching a film. I was watching some YouTube videos, and they were just making a bunch of big montage of a bunch of things, and there was some animation or something like that that had someone on a plane. Oh no, it was Casey Neistat. He made a YouTube video of him on one of the nicest planes, and he was like in one of the most expensive plane tickets ever.
Okay.
They just posted this a couple days ago, and it showed a scene from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on the television in his seat, and I just knew right there when we were writing this up, I was like, how could I forget? It's so good with the flamethrower scene, the dynamic between Brad Pitt and just the crazy people, and showing us that you don't have to say a lot in an acting role to really portray what you're all about. Kind of like Mandalorian,
Yeah.
where Pedro Pascal, we don't see his face. We're not seeing him doing anything extra special with dialogue. And because he wears a mask, we reflect that. And I think it's a lot harder to not have a mask and have the audience still relate to you. So that's why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is part of my top 3.
Okay. Fair
Killer.
enough. That's a pretty strong list.
I think so. Let's go to the bottom ones.
Oh, God.
You want me to start off or you want to do it?
I kind of want to go.
I'll go for it.
All right. So, wow. Where do I start? So, this is the year I feel like just for reboots and remakes and to rehash a lot of things and to dig up old franchises that probably just should have stayed dead. And I don't like this whole era of reboots that we've gotten into just in the last like 5 or 6 years even.
Well, they're rebooting the wrong movies.
Yeah, well, and in the wrong ways too. Like they're not doing it to develop a good story. They're doing it to just remind people of the IP that studios have.
Yeah. They got the right with your one of your choices. I think they got the movie right, but they got the actor who was in the movie at first right. But they picked the wrong franchise. It
Yeah.
should have been Wild Wild West.
Oh my God. Well, in that kind of vein of things, so Men in Black International, that's the first one I want to hit. So it's Chris Hemsworth and remind me of her name.
You're talking to the wrong person.
Oh my gosh! Wow, this is great. So you're
I'll look it up.
that's fine. So you're diving back into a franchise that was already goofy enough and probably shouldn't have worked as it was, but because of the chemistry of the two main characters and the original 3, I think was really the only saving factor of that type of story. So for them to revisit that with these brand new characters, it really just felt like they wanted to retell the story with modern technology, and the plot itself was just dragged on and didn't feel like we ever went anywhere.
I heard like the first 5 minutes were really good, and then it just fell apart there.
Yeah, I mean it's a good opening fight scene, and like
Oh, you're gonna feel so dumb. Tessa Thompson.
I do feel dumb. I'm sorry. Sorry, Tessa.
Now you know how I feel every time we do this.
Oh my God. I feel like you, Chris. Oh, you peasant. So, like, it could have been good, I feel like, in the right circumstances, but it's the type of movie that once every 100 years, I feel like comes together in the right way. And I feel like they forced it. And then the ending was just a massive CGI, and it was just Chris Hemsworth, I feel like, was acting in a very different movie than what they wanted. And all of it just felt very disjointed, and the writing was bad. It felt like they were cramming in fan service in the wrong ways. It's not a great franchise in that like it's ready to be rebooted, and I hope that they don't push any more of these out.
So was it a reboot or was it a cash grab?
Cash grab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of like, because I thought Independence Day was a reboot and not a cash grab, but it was just such a poorly done reboot.
Yes. Yeah, it was them. Again, it's when studios want to redo a story with better technology and they feel like they can get away with more and make it bigger. And with Independence Day, they just wanted bigger action. That director's known for his giant set pieces, And so for him to reboot that, they just went beat for beat what the original did, and they didn't really do anything new. And that's frustrating as an audience member, because you want to see a new story, you want to see fresh ideas, and maybe inject it into a universe that already exists, but in a new way.
Well, the young people, they got to play, the younger generation of fighter pilots in that movie were awful.
Yeah.
Even though, was Michael B. Jordan, or was it a different guy?
No, it was a different guy.
Yeah, that's what I was like. This guy sucks.
Yeah, just none of it really worked. Speaking of casts put together and to remake a thing that just didn't work for me, The Lion King. Like, so this is what's frustrating to me as a person with a brain, where you recreate a movie entirely on a computer and then try and sell it as a live action remake. Like, I love Jon Favreau, and he's doing an incredible job with The Mandalorian. Go check out our Mandalorian reviews here on Anchor and iTunes and Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah, add it at the end, and everywhere else you get your podcast.
Yes. So he is super talented, and I love what he's done with the MCU and with these other comic book franchises. But for him to just remake beat for beat almost the original Lion King, and the only thing that he carried over from the original was James Earl Jones, which already made it kind of disjointed, because you have an entirely new cast, an entirely new visual medium, and yet you still have that one constant voice, because you can't replace him. But then why remake the movie at all if you're going to carry over these things from the original? And again, it's they're not exploring anything new with the story. They're not doing anything differently. They're just telling it in a much more visually interesting way. Where, again, and speaking of visuals, when you have cartoon lions dancing and singing, you can express 100 different emotions. When you have a visually accurate lion trying to sing and not even dance, just walk, you can really only express one emotion, maybe two, maybe awake and hungry, but that's about it. So there's no real emotional diversity in these characters, so you can't even really get a sense for what they're trying to convey.
Do you think if Andy Serkis did the motion capture for these lines, it'd be better?
No. No.
You don't think he can get them to emote?
No, because I don't think he can. I think he could do Planet of the Apes, because they're all just trying to be intense. And
well, that's the big criticism. I didn't see the reboot, but I heard people coming out of the movie were just like, it was just so jarring, and to see lions talking to each other and trying to convey emotion with this stoic look on their face at all times.
That's the thing. It's a cash grab, and I think Disney gets a lot of things right, but I think they're just pumping out reboot after reboot of their original cartoons, and like there's the Little Mermaid one coming out. I think the Mulan remake looks interesting because it's done differently enough. Okay, and I feel this way about music too, where if you're going to do a cover of something or remake something, you need to have it be different enough to be distinguished on its own, and you need to try enough new ideas to contribute to the original rather than just bury it and cover it up. So with movies, I'm cool with redoing the story, but this is what I was thinking about with The Lion King. If they had just tweaked a few little aspects of the story, like maybe there's more depth to when Scar let go of Mufasa and he got trampled to death. Maybe other lions saw what happened, and there was more drama in Scar trying to take over the pride, where you give this other level of intensity and depth to the story rather than just rehash what's already been done. Maybe something happens to Simba when he's out growing up. Maybe he and Nala don't actually get together. I don't know.
Or flip it on its head. Scar.
Yes.
Is the one who falls into the ravine. And it's Mufasa who lets him die.
Ooh, and then Mufasa goes dark.
And Mufasa goes dark. Well, maybe Mufasa's just a shitty dad.
Maybe.
Well, why don't we get that dynamic? I feel like that's something our generation needs.
That's pretty relatable.
For all of you who have daddy's issues, please look at Lion King reboot.
Oh my gosh.
reboot. What did they do? They did like the 2.0 or the 1.5s of the
Yeah.
Lion Kings that they did for
Yeah.
cartoons. So let's get Lion King 1.5, and it's where Mufasa. It's an alternate universe where Mufasa lets Scar die, and Simba has a bunch of guilt.
But see, even that, like I feel like I would be more okay with them changing the original material if it was in service of a better story that they could tell through this new medium where they don't have to have dancing lions and singing lions. Like just do some. I don't know. I'm getting
Or
too much of a
give us the
rant.
perspective of the hyenas. Let's
Something.
give us the hyena kingdom and how they interact with the Lion King.
Yeah, this sounds like a direct-to-TV kind of movie, but
Shut up. My ideas are golden. You don't listen. Wild Wild West 2.
yes,
The Lion King, not reboot, but the Lion King Hyena edition. These are great ideas.
okay. You had one good idea, and then one I feel like it could maybe be like a B movie kind of thing. Let's
Wait,
not
are
go
you
on
saying
this
Wild
trend.
Wild West 2 is B movie, or is that the good idea?
That's top tier, like your best idea you've ever had. We're gonna try and submit that and pitch it to the studio. Anyways,
I'm saying this is Disney we're talking about. Disney original.
yes.
Disney Plus.
Oh my god. So the last movie on my list is Glass, and it's on it because I like what M. Night Shyamalan's done with Unbreakable and with Split. And with Split, I feel like it was the sequel that we didn't know we wanted, but we appreciated the movie more because of the twist at the end that gave us that perspective of the universe it was in. And it made things interesting, and it made us want to see more and what other types of characters were out in this world. But with Glass, I feel like it tried to tie together everything that was out there while still like throwing out new ideas, but never fully paying off anything. And I feel like it did a disservice to the characters that were there. And I get that it's supposed to be this like Nolan-esque, like super realistic world where there's not really powers, there's just enhanced people to a degree. But I just don't feel like it landed where he wanted it to land, and paid off the ways that he wanted it to. So in a world of all of these comic book movie and superhero genre films, if you're going to subvert people's expectations, I feel like you need to do it in a way that makes sense and that also does the characters justice, to where you don't have Bruce Willis die in a puddle and like his powers are negated around water, and I get that, and it's super humanizing for him, whatever. But I just, for what it was and what he set up in the previous films, I don't feel like it landed the mark for where he should have been able to land it. And he's definitely on the upswing, I think.
Are you talking about Bruce Willis or M. Night Shyamalan?
Sorry, M. Night Shyamalan. So, well, okay, so his show on Apple TV looks really interesting, and I feel like he's got a lot of good ideas as a storyteller. He's just kind of been hit or miss as far as what's worked and what isn't.
Is that the twist?
Maybe his career's the twist.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
Is M. Night Shyamalan's career just an epic twist written by Rian Johnson?
You just broke my mind. So anyways, what are your bottom 3-ish movies?
So, one of my bottom 3 movies is actually in your top 3.
Oh my god.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
We're going to fight Chris.
To preface my list, I didn't watch a lot of trash movies. Like, I'm the type of person who's like, I'll check Rotten Tomatoes. If it's okay, I'll go see it. Things like that. And I did go see this with you. I was interested. I was like, hey, I want to see a fighting movie or anything like that. I'm not going to go out of my way to go watch like an emoji movie, anything like that.
God,
that
no.
might change in 2020 where I want to
No.
get more into this podcast.
No.
But I feel like a part of me will die at the same time.
Yes.
So we went to go see this, and I enjoyed it. But compared to all the movies I've seen this year, it has to make the bottom.
Fair enough.
And there's one really great scene that I'll give the movie credit to, which is the jump scare when Godzilla is in the ocean and they're in this underwater facility, which is a stupid, awful idea.
Yes.
It's just having that facility out there and Godzilla just sneaks up on them. That scared the living. That scared the shit out of me. Like, I was genuinely like frightened, and then when I wanted to scream, but nothing came out when that thing just passed by. The sound, once again, sound design doesn't get enough credit. Amazing, but there's just so many things in this movie. I was like, how? Why? I know this is a monster movie. When you tell me like Godzilla has a hidden den in the Atlantic, not even near Japan, in the Atlantic, where it goes to rest, and Ken Watanabe has to bring a nuclear bomb to revive him. No spoilers, by the way. In this den that's got molten lava and all this stuff, like, and I just didn't get it.
Look, man, it's an underground system of tunnels that connect everywhere across the world. It doesn't have to be just in Japan. It could be anywhere.
But that's the thing. Ken Watanabe was my favorite part of the movie, but the family with the kid, I was just like, I could care less.
You got to turn your brain off, man. It's one of those movies. Just enjoy it for a big monster fighting movie it is.
And it's already trying to connect to the first one where I guess the son died.
Yes.
And this time it's about the daughter.
Yeah, of the family. Yeah, so the son was killed because of the Godzilla attack, and so that's why they hate Godzilla and they're super protective of the daughter. It led to their divorce. Blah blah blah.
If they had focused more on that story in a way that felt genuine, but then they added like there's a bad guy involved who the mother's working for, doesn't realize it's bad. Dad is also messaging the daughter about all this stuff. It gets convoluted. Especially with the story of like, oh, there's another monster and there's all these research team. You need to take out these eco-terrorists and all this other stuff. It's just too much.
Look, man, I don't go to Godzilla to critique the human dialogue. I go to Godzilla to critique the monster fighting.
No, the monster fighting was great. Hands down.
That's what I'm saying.
And the danger felt real. The monster fighting was great. I'm just saying, of the movies I saw, this made it my bottom 3.
Fair enough.
All right. Cold Pursuit with Liam Neeson. I went to go see this thinking I was one of the few people on earth who liked The Grey.
I mean, it was a good movie.
The Grey, you liked it?
I did like it.
Hell yeah, dude. You and I did not see that together. We didn't know each other at the time.
That's fair.
I had other friends that I saw the movie with, and they were disappointed. And I walked out like, I kind of liked it.
Exactly.
People, and I remember walking out of the theater and people just being annoyed with that movie and how the way it ended. And I was like, it's not about the ending, it's about the journey. This movie is hilarious. Once again, I don't go out of my way to watch a lot of trash, but this movie is not trash. This movie's hilarious, and it's almost like Fargo. The way, the storytelling, the plot, it just felt a little hollow at times. The humor is great. Between, there's two factions. There's like a drug lord who acts like a early millennial, like a 1980s millennial.
Okay.
Who has a son and he's a dick to, and he's just kind of cruel. And then there's the other faction, which is a bunch of Native Americans. And somehow they get into this war. And the situations, like I told you earlier today, there's a domino effect with the decisions that are made. And the pretentious jerk dad who you just root against all the time is just so hateable. Almost like a Joffrey. And I just like how Liam Neeson is shoved into this plot somehow to fix it. His son dies in it, and so he tries to find the people. It's like Taken and Fargo put together. That's the perfect way to put this together.
He's being so typecast as just a vengeful dad in everything now.
It was. He lost his son to an overdose, and the drugs go up to this pretentious jerk 1980s millennial. And as someone who is a millennial, I'm not that type, and I'm the new age millennial. But the movie was just hollow and like enough action. There was suspense and stuff like that, but there's no big action set piece or anything along those lines. It was more comedic, and the ending was okay until you get to the very, very end. Something hilarious happens, and unfortunately I have to put it on my bottom 3 list. Everything else I saw this year was better.
Fair enough.
And then the last one. To preface, I did not see this movie, but I'm doing this for the fans. I'm doing this for the people, John. You know I'm a man of the people. or I think I am.
Well, you're pushing for a Baby Yoda death. So
Hold
I don't know
on.
how much you are.
I
In
for
this instance,
for
you
the
are.
greater good. They will thank me later. X-Men Dark Phoenix has to be the worst movie come out this year for they say AAA in video games for the blockbuster market. This thing was a big bomb,
Yep.
and it makes me happy.
I almost forgot this movie came out this year.
Yeah, that's what I was surprised not to see on your list, but you didn't see the movie either.
But I've seen so many. I was telling you this earlier. I've seen so many clips on YouTube of scenes strung together that I mean, I know what happened. I've seen all the big action set pieces. I've seen how bad they are. Oh God, it's just such a poor movie.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna go much into it because I didn't see it, but I just when I like the X-Men movies, but when I saw this trailer and all this stuff, at first I was like, yeah, but as more trailers come out, where it shows Sophie Turner, she's like, this feeling, it feels pretty good. I'm like, this feeling in my stomach, it does not feel very good.
Well, and see, that's been X-Men, or like the Fox X-Men movies' biggest problems is that they have all these major comic book arcs, like Days of Future Past, like Apocalypse, the Phoenix Saga.
And they do them all in like one movie.
That's the problem. Yeah, the comics have spent years building up to these big events, and then spent another long time developing them and finishing the story out. Yeah, and then they decade hop, but the characters don't age, which makes no sense. And
And
it's
I heard this was the worst one of the decade hop.
Well,
like
that's
as
the
far
thing.
as like what the characters looked like.
because then you have another less than 10 years before the original X-Men movies came out, which this is supposed to be tied into. So in less than 10 years, you've got Xavier turning in from point A to point B, and all of these
Looking like
characters-
Patrick Stewart.
exactly, all these characters are supposed to age dramatically. I don't know. Anyways, doesn't make sense. You're right. Definitely bottom tier movie.
Just bad creative choices on this. And I liked X-Men First Class. I liked Days of Future Past. I thought Apocalypse was pretty bad, but it was still kind of enjoyable. Like we talked about a little bit earlier today, the destruction and the powers are really cool, but still falls flat.
Yeah, there are a lot of good things that they kind of hinted at or started to get into, but I feel like there's just so much studio involvement, and they just didn't fully know what they could do with those characters, and it just there's so many bad choices.
So many.
So
bad-
many.
So many. All right, but it's not a bad choice.
Huh.
Our picks going into the next year.
Man, 2020 looks like it's going to be a great year for movies. I'm super excited about what's coming out.
I am too. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises this year.
Yeah.
So,
So one of my okay, look, we're just gonna start off with this one just to get it out of the way. I'm excited about Godzilla versus Kong. I don't care what you say. I think it's gonna be a great movie. I've seen that.
I'm still going to see it.
Look, I've seen that one clip that they showed off about Godzilla and Kong, with Kong punching Godzilla on top of an aircraft carrier. It looks stupid good. I'm gonna watch it. Kong has grown up so much since the 70s when the first one took place. It's going to be a lot more of an even match than I thought, and I don't care if the story with the people is dumb. I want to see two big monsters fight, and it's going to be super entertaining.
Just give me a movie where they fight and just take the people out of it.
Yeah.
Make people in buildings getting killed by the monsters. That I'll take.
Yep, and it might maybe introduce the idea of Mechagodzilla or Destroya or some of the other giant monsters. Maybe there's something else in play that we don't know about yet. Who knows? I'm curious. I'm gonna go see it. It's gonna be fun.
I'll take Mechagodzilla. All right, what else is on your? What else are you looking forward to in 2020?
So then getting into real ideas. So
Some real movies.
look, man, I know where I stand. I know who I am. So the Eternals, I'm really excited for. Just this whole new phase of MCU movies and these new types of characters they're introducing. Like no one knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before James Gunn made that movie. Mm-hmm. No one really even knew who Iron Man was before Robert Downey Jr. took over the role. And so for them to take this Jack Kirby B-list type of idea of characters and push them to the forefront, where they've apparently been involved with events of the MCU since the beginning, and like they've always been around, and to see how they're going to tie that all in with a great cast, first of all, spanning with a story spanning over the events of over thousands of years. It's the idea of the Eternals is really interesting to me, and then to see how it's going to work in real life and introduce the Black Knight with Kit Harington, and how that is going to play into Avengers films in the future. It's going to expand so much of what the MCU is, and I'm really excited to see this direction that the risks that the studio is taking now, because they have the money now to make a bunch of risks, and to see how it all pays off. So we're not getting. I hope it's not just another kind of like cookie cutter conventional movie like we've talked about, but it's. I hope it continues to push the boundaries of the types of stories we're able to tell with characters that are going to surprise the general public and be really entertaining for a lot of people.
I'll take cookie cutter. I think I haven't seen a lot from this movie, but from seeing, what is that actor from Silicon Valley?
Oh, Kumail Nanjiani?
Yeah, he showed off his abs this past weekend, and like they blew up on the internet. And I like how he gave credit to. He's like, this is what it is. It's like, I'm getting in shape for a year, and he's talking about how like he has the best nutritionists in the world because of Disney's paying them, and he also patted himself on the back that he had a lot of control to get it done. But he's like, in a million years would I not be able to do this without their help, or without like this regimen. I wouldn't have tried.
Well, and Disney, like with the MCU characters, they have to be in a certain physical condition to portray these types of superheroes.
Yeah.
So like, I get that it's incredibly wearing on these people's bodies to do this, but for them to have the commitment and not just wear a bunch of super padded suits, like these people really commit to making these movies. I know. Shazam? Were you thinking Shazam?
No, I was.
Okay.
I had a joke that was kind of terrible.
Fair enough.
Do you think they hired someone who studies arachnids to help with Angelina Jolie's nutrition?
Arachnids?
Because she's a spider.
Oh my god! Gotta tie that back.
I'm just harping on her being.
She's a mechanical spider in a human
She's a
suit.
mechanical spider, and she's there to ruin Brad Pitt's day.
Fair enough.
Wild Wild West 2, make it happen.
Oh god, it's all gonna come back to that. So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean these people really want to make these movies the most that they can be, and I'm again super hyped about this movie. And the last one on my list that I don't know anything about but makes me super interested in it.
Did you know they dropped a trailer today for it?
Chris, why are you telling me this now?
I
I'm prepared.
I just it's either today or last night they dropped a movie. This is the movie Tenet.
Yes.
Yes, and it looks bizarre. It looks so Christopher Nolan. It looks like Inception Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
And it's gonna. I don't. Going to see this, I better have like a free schedule so I could just. I need to see it at like 11 a.m.
And just
like,
think about it.
And just like at the end of it, just like have soup or something, ramen by myself in a corner, and then just like go out to the beach and just like watch the waves and like think about this movie for like hours on end.
That's the thing. I love the mystery behind it, and it's like an unnecessary mystery. Like, you could tell us the plot. It's probably not necessary that we don't know, but it makes it intriguing. And the fact that I don't know anything about it, and the fact that it's Christopher Nolan, makes me even more interested, because I love the movies that he has already put out, and his idea and the way that he plays with time in all of his movies is super interesting to me. So for him to take on this type of project and to just shroud it in mystery, I'm super excited about the potential for this type of story. And if you think I'm not going to go watch the trailer as soon as we're done with this, you're wrong. But so those are my top three. Looking forward to 2020: Godzilla vs. Kong, The Eternals, and Tenet.
Oh, I like a few of those choices, and I'm probably going to see all three of those movies that are on your list. So it'll still be cool to see. Now let's see if you'll see any of the things on my list, because I think two of them definitely, one of them probably not.
I'll see them all.
Okay.
Reading the script here, I'll see them all.
First one is 007 No Time to Die. I definitely am excited for this movie. I want to see it. I want to see how they send Daniel Craig off.
Yes.
And I like the James Bond movies. What can I say?
Why? You are...
I don't know why.
Look, okay, so just so everybody knows, it's... right now it's 8:38. We're going to go see The Rise of Skywalker at a midnight showing tonight. It's been a long day so far.
What's wrong with yawning?
Just saying. Just...
Listen, I understand. You've been at work today. You work the 9 to 5. It's like
I've been up since 5:30, Chris.
you've been up since 5:30 in the morning. You've been up for what? Let's see.
15 hours now.
You've been up for 15 hours now. I have been up since 1:30 p.m.
Oh my god, you suck.
You know,
I hate you.
I have no schedule really right now. Just going with the motions. I might sleep for 5 hours. I might sleep for like 8 hours. Who knows? I'm just going with the motions, dude.
Fair enough.
So-
Okay, so continue.
My yawn is a sympathy yawn for you. I do it
appreciate
for you.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome, my friend. Okay. 007, No Time to Die. We've already talked about this on podcast, but I am extremely excited for this movie. And then it is followed by Wonder Woman 1984, which I have high hopes for. Patty Jenkins is amazing with everything she touches. I think this is also going to be one of those movies that is amazing. With Pedro Pascal coming into them, I wish the trailer had kept Chris Pine's character.
Yeah, Steve Trevor.
Steve Trevor.
I was
wish
so
they
close
kept
to
him
saying Steve Rogers, and it was very wrong.
Steve Rogers. Ma'am. But yeah, Steve Rogers. I'm Steve Trevor.
On your left.
On your left. Steve Trevor. I wish they would have kept this secret of him coming back in this movie. I would have been more interested. But trailers do that sometimes. But a lot was shown in this trailer. Yes, it got me hyped, but there will be no surprises, I think, except for some plot twist that'll happen. But besides that, I saw too much. But
Yeah.
I'm still excited.
Still haven't seen all the cheetah stuff, so that's going to be interesting how they do that.
Because that's not Patty Jenkins' problem. That's marketing.
Yes.
And then my final pick that I want to see in 2020 is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Look, okay, so I think that we, as an audience who revolted against the studio, deserve, or the studio, at the very least we can do for the studio that works so hard to appease the fans, is we could all go see this movie. Because the creators and the CGI artists that spent so much time fixing this character, they've done a great job, I think, with it.
They've also shut down.
Well, okay, well, we're not doing it for them specifically, but the idea of them.
That's a studio issue. But the studio that did get contracted to do the reworks on Sonic the Hedgehog CGI closed down. That news came out earlier this month. That the money that they got from the contract wasn't enough, and they went under.
You know what other movie they worked on?
Huh?
You know what other movie they worked on?
You did tell me this.
I did.
And it was a really good movie.
No, it was Lion King.
No, they did another one, though.
Probably.
Lion King was visually stunning, though.
It was. But the quality... Never mind. Okay, so that's a rant for another
Come
time.
on. Give them the credit they deserve. Yeah, that's
Parts
right.
of
But
it look good, but it's not a good story.
so we as the fans got what we wanted from Sonic the Hedgehog. We revolted. We got the changes. I think it is everyone's job to go see this movie, for better or for worse. But I am also seeing it because of the crazy uncle we all know when we grew up, Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Jim Carrey in a zany, wild role, almost Ace Ventura-like. Is he gonna be like that? No. Is he ever going to go back to prominence? Very unlikely, because people just think he's insane. And it's right. He is insane, but he is funny. And I want to see Sonic the Hedgehog for him. And I'm not really too keen on the actor who plays the main protagonist, the human, James Marsden.
Yes.
I'm not too crazy on him as an actor. I'm sure he's a really nice guy, but that's what I'm kind of worried about going into this movie.
Okay.
Is him. Not so much Sonic and his voice acting and all the hijinks he does. It's mostly James Marsden.
That's fair. But yeah, I'm definitely going to go see that movie. I feel like I owe it to them.
You do.
Just as an individual, it's my fault that they had to remake it. So I have to be the one to go see it.
And everyone else who has a Twitter, everyone else who has a Reddit username, you all owe it to Sonic the Hedgehog. All of you do. Whether you think about it or not, whether you care or not, you owe it to him.
Yep.
So, we're getting towards the end, but John, I want to know, what are you watching right now?
So, in thinking about this segment of our show, this is the first time that I don't think I've seen any new content or types of shows or movies in a week. And that's weird for me. So I was looking through what's on my list to see. And what I think I'm going to check out next is a show on Netflix. It's called The Movies That Made Us. And they've had another type of thing like it out there called the Toys That Made Us. But it looks really interesting.
I heard about that one, The Toys That Made Us.
Yeah. So I'm on Netflix's page right now and just scrolling through season 1. There's 4 episodes, and it's going to talk about Dirty Dancing, Home Alone, Ghostbusters, and Die Hard.
Oh my gosh.
And just kind of a deep dive into those movies and what makes them so great and relevant to pop culture still. So that I feel like is going to be really interesting to see their take on all of this and to get a deeper look into those movies that I do enjoy. So, it's a little something different. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm hopeful that it'll be good.
I saw a Facebook post about a Reddit post of Joe Pesci, someone who was very, very young, meeting Joe Pesci in the early 90s after he did Home Alone. And the kid was like, "Can I get your autograph?" And the guy's recalling it, and Joe Pesci's like, "Who's your favorite actor?" And the young kid says, "Joe Pesci, you." And Joe Pesci hands him $100, and he's like, "Good answer, kid."
Yes.
And I hope that story's true, because that helps bring up the lore of Joe Pesci just being a badass.
Just
but don't
like
ever,
Bill Murray.
just don't ever call him funny though.
Inside jokes.
Also, do you think I'm funny?
No.
Wait, and you know what I'm referencing though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. And shine boxes too.
Okay.
No shine boxes.
Oh.
Although I did see someone that we know, that we used to work with, posted a great meme of Billy's shine boxes. And it was an immaculate meme of Billy Bats with a shine box that said, "Go get your effing shine box."
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it was good. It was like a 1950s kind of billboard. It was hilarious. It was too good. But what I'm watching right now is Disney Imagineering. I just finished the series. Ooh, so good. It is the Disney Kool-Aid that I need and so excited for. So now I have to find another series to finish up, which with all the free time in the world I have until after the holidays, I'll find something. I'm hoping to get to finish the Clone Wars.
Yeah, definitely worth finishing. It's going to be I think that the last couple of seasons are pretty strong. I think you're really going to enjoy them.
I'm just got 2 more episodes of season 2, and then go into season 3, which I hear gets better, and so on and so forth. So I'm still behind. I just kind of got bogged down with better stuff to do.
So, being a productive member of society.
I'm trying. I really am. But so before we go, we have to mention that we will not have any new podcast episodes after this one until January. So if you want to give feedback to us, comment on our stuff, comment where you can. Send us feedback on Facebook if you want about some new content you want to see in January, some things you want to see change, and then we'll listen to that and see what we can do to make the show better, because that's what we want. We want to keep this going, and we're also going to take a little bit of a hiatus for the holidays to be with our families. So you'll probably get a Mandalorian review after this for the season finale, episode 8, and that will be it for a little bit. Is there anything you got?
How bad of a podcast would we be if we reviewed a series up to the finale and then just left it, just never touched it again?
I'm sure we could come up with some conspiracy theory of how that happened.
Probably.
That
But
would
no.
be good.
Yeah, so besides that, I mean, looking forward to 2020. I think 2019 was a good year overall. Some ups and downs. Just kind of looking back on it all, it was a good year. A lot of changes, and obviously we started this in 2019. So
We'll keep it going.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll keep our radio voices going on today on Thursday.
you got it, Chris.
That's right. Roll the outro.